Great. So if you have a question, Lisa's walking around with a microphone. You can just raise your hand, and Janelle's in the back there with a microphone as well. So please raise your hand if you have a question. But maybe I'll start things off. Ali, in looking at your presentation, it seems like your approach to AI is really looking at individual-specific learning. Can you talk about how you're thinking about the balance between sort of very highly specific training for AI versus a more generalizable approach, and how you think about applying those different approaches in your development?
Yeah, so as I say, we do have the general AI approach, which we're working on with on the edge for just our EM alone. So we do already have that generalized one, but as I said, there is challenges. You can have a really great algorithm that works really well on one vessel, but then struggles on another one because every fishing vessel is different. They're all set up slightly differently. So the idea behind the integration is we should be able to get enhanced AI because we've got individual vessel learning, that the skipper is verifying in real time what he's seeing. He's verifying that this is exactly that species, or he's actually training it by isolating that species in the e-logbook and saying this is what this is, so you can then train it for those individual species as well. So as you say, getting the images can be really hard sometimes, but the skipper's doing it in real time on board, so we're getting those images there. So in theory, it will build a far better data set, but it will be that vessel individual data set.
Thank you very much. My question is to the, I'm sorry, I forget your name, to Satlink. Manuel. Yeah. I see that, I think with the technology that you're using, it seems like you're very confident to, sort of to say or recognize to the level of the species, especially for, like the big one, like the highly migratory species that you're just showing us, tuna and everything. But in the case of, tropical countries like Indonesia, of course, you're talking about so many different kind of species that are really, fishery, that are quite really difficult to, to monitor or to be sure at, especially when you use, technology, and not to mention, even if it is you're using your own, eyes, it is quite challenging to really get into what species that the catch is actually about. I'm just curious about, because definitely maybe the species is something that are two details that are not necessarily, needed for the time being to inform, for example, the stock assessment analysis. But perhaps if we were to be able to create some, a technology in which you actually can identify things up to whatever it is, the higher level of was the classification, biological classification, for example, like the genus or probably even to the group or a class, for example, right? How confident do you think, for example, the apps that you are developing, that you can get into that, probably to identify the animal up to their genus or class level?
Well, thank you for the question. First of all, Satlink started with the machine learning models and algorithms, working with the tuna fisheries, with the offshore. So we started with this, so our models are based on tuna-like. However, let me say that we have the know-how to design new machine learning models. We are able to create new things, but at the end, machine learning model is a very powerful tool, but you need to be very focused on what you need. And in your case, it's a different model than the things that we are doing now, because as I said before, we are very focused only in the tuna-like, in this species, but let me say, we are open to create new things. We are open to study different situations in order to create models. So, but nowadays, it's the things that we are doing because, well, it's our business. But indeed, we are also developing new things. For example, with the inshore fleets in Europe, where the type of fish and the size is very different, but we are able to do. So let me say, we have the know-how, and I think that probably we can do something for your case.
Hi, Kasia from Avalobi. Thank you so much for both your presentations. My question is for Ali on the OLSPS model or app that you guys have developed, specifically around data sharing agreements with fishers And I was wondering what your approach is to this in terms of keeping the data secure. Are fishers incentivized to share this information with regulatory bodies? And how are they approaching this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So at the moment, lots of EM is brought in because the regulatory bodies say that's how they need to get the data. So for example, in New Zealand, you're not allowed to do any paper reporting anymore, so they have to do the e-logbook. So what OLSPS do there is they share the data to the government, but they actually keep the individual fishers separate. So as an individual fisher, you can log in and only see your data as well. If it's shared outside of any of that, then it's an agreement between them all. And you'll see in my presentation tomorrow, we look at bycatch. They've all agreed to share their bycatch amongst the fleet. So those who've signed up get real-time bycatch reports. So it's all kept completely private unless the fishermen decide or tell us to share that data with anybody.
Hi, I'm Sivam Krish. Very interesting presentation. So I think it's really interesting that you're developing, boat-by-boat AI. That's really, really interesting. So what we have learned is that when you have huge amount of variations like deck color, lighting variations, lighting directions, then your number of images just explode exponentially. So essentially by reducing it, we can reduce the number of images required by a couple of hundred. So I'd like to learn from you what you have done to kind of reduce the variations, if that's done, and what's the challenges. That's one thing. The second thing, you're also using the person in the boat to essentially as an expert to correct your models. And how reliable is that? Because typically you would use scientists to do that, and you're using fishermen. So these are the two questions I have for you.
Yeah, I'm not an AI expert, so I'm really going to struggle answering your first one, other than it's being developed by people far cleverer than myself. But that's the advantage of the individual one, that we can sort of eliminate those on board. And so when we set the cameras up, we set the model up at that time, and then we train that one. And around the species, so once the skipper's put it in, it's actually still verified then on deck or on land by the regulatory authorities and also by the reviewers as well. So there's secondary reviews going on to confirm that's exactly what's been seen, rather than just relying on that individual on board. But generally, because this is advantageous for the fishing companies or because it's for regulation, they have to be honest, and generally they are. But yeah, there is backups to make sure that they are being honest and what they're seeing is correct.
Hey, Ali, thanks for your presentation. I have a question on, again, the fishers on the vessel training these algorithms. How are you incentivizing that, or is it regulated in the use cases you've seen so far?
So in the use cases so far, it's regulated. So the incentivization is around ease of use for them. So the more they train it, then the less they've got to do in the long run, and the system will actually say, well, we think you've caught this much of this species, is that correct? And then all they've got to do is say yes. So the incentivization for them is it's actually going to make their life easier. So they've got to go through a little bit of pain at the beginning to train it, but then it'll make their life easier as they go forward.
Thank you.
I'll jump in with a question since it's quiet. We got one. Manuel, so one of the reasons to develop ML and AI is to reduce the time it takes for a reviewer to do this and therefore the costs. I'd love to hear from you sort of what kind of reductions you're seeing in terms of the labor required to review a set right now with the tools you've developed.
That's a very good question. The first thing that I would like to say is that nowadays we use machine learning as an assistant. We believe in the human analyst. So basically, the first thing is that we use the algorithms in order to find the specific moments and also to provide a first classification so you can say yes or no. It's like more easy to say, okay, what is that? No, you have a first classification. So we can reduce around 10% the cost of the analyst per set. That it's incredible. And in the tuna that you have very long trips, that is more than 6 or 9 months of footage, it's incredible, the reduction. So I believe that thanks to this technology, we are able to process huge amount of data with low cost, and that's incredible, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Arif Sanasution. You can call me Arif Shah from Greenpeace. I have a question for Satlink. Manuel, right? Your name?
Yeah, okay.
Thanks. So two questions. The first one is actually, I just want to elaborate more on the fishers or the fishing workers on board, how links are applied, based on your platform, how to monitor the working conditions. So maybe is there any indicators that you use, yeah? And if you can elaborate more, maybe it's good to know. And the second one, I really like the ideas on and the last slide of your presentation is how to work with others platform, right? How to connect with others, all the initiative. That's a really great big step ahead because I think so many initiatives, but at the end we need to see how together works together. So maybe my question to that one is whether we have the political gaps or the legal gaps, or maybe what's the challenge, and how far we will get to that situation that all the platform can easily connect and everyone can get benefits, yeah. Whatever platform they have, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for the two questions. Regarding the first one, we are working with some customers of the industry. The idea is the use of the cameras, of course, to monitor the labor conditions. The idea is that identify some kind of behaviors, let me say. The second question, I can tell you more about the second question because I'm a technology guy. I'm not the human analyst for the first one. But regarding the second question, yes, there is some concerns with the security. The idea of Satlink.ai is that we have the models and we need to, other people, other guys can use it as well as us. So the idea is that we create this cloud platform. Regarding the security, we use Azure storage and also everything is on Microsoft. We sign some agreements regarding the data, that is also very important, about the privacy. And the idea is that the platform automatically deletes everything once you upload to the platform in order to get the results. So we are not able to access to the information because it's anonymized, the videos. So it's not possible for someone from my organization to see the videos because you don't know what is the video. And the video, after being analyzed, will be delayed. So that is the idea. And then we have specific agreements with customers in order to use this software. Then the idea is to have an API. So if you have a software, review software or something like that, you are able to connect using your API, or if you had another web platform or another system, it's very easy to integrate. But the security is the big concern in this kind of application, so everything is anonymized, and of course, everything will be delayed after being analyzed for the machine learning models. I would like to add that we are also looking for other partners that can integrate the models in our marketplace. So the idea is to provide the infrastructure, so have all the models, so everyone that wants to use any model for other provider can use our platform. So that's the idea, to create a marketplace with different machine learning and AI models. And nowadays, we are using with some customers some trials with this new technology. Thank you very much.
Hi, thank you both of you for a really nice presentation. My name is Marcelo Hidalgo. I represent the Fishing Industry Association of Papua New Guinea. My question is for both of you, is there any specific application for a small scale fisheries?
Yeah.
Talking about maybe divers, lobsters, more than fishing.
Yeah, there is, and I'm glad you asked that because we're launching it at my stand next door. So it was great. We've just designed one specifically for that small artisanal, pretty much dinghies. It's an all-enclosed solution, so we have the camera mounted on the vessel, and then we have a peli-carry case which has got all the batteries, the GPS, everything inside. So you take that down to the boat in the morning fully charged, plug the camera in, and you can get 15 hours of recording from that solution all in this one waterproof housing. And then you take that back and charge it again at the end of the day. So it's been designed specifically for vessels that have no power source on board for EM.
Well, for EM, our target fleets are inshore, but not artisanal, and also the offshore fleets. For artisanal, the solution that we are providing is more oriented to BMS, BMS solution, different, and also with the integration of the ERS, not cameras. We believe that it's a difficult place to install cameras due to you don't have batteries or you don't have enough power to run this kind of system. You need something portable. And well, nowadays we don't have nothing with cameras in this specific fleet. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Can I give you a question to both of you? I'm Yanti from Association Industry in the fishing for small scale, and also I'm working for the personal fleet. The question is for the VMS. We have so many problems with the in between online or offline. Yeah, so give the bad image for the government. Yeah, and then the second, your presentation for the AI is very interesting because for the small scale, usually we should check the ETP, and mostly what we have done so far is very difficult to look. The video is very difficult. So maybe your solution is very interesting for us. And the question is, are you able to or get the permit for Indonesia? Because the problem in Indonesia also, we cannot use any provider or any monitoring system without the license from the Indonesia. Thank you.
I would imagine so. We've done that in several other countries around the world to get the permit to work there and sort of go through the type approval and the test stages. So once we know what those parameters are, I can just look at those and verify yes or no. But absolutely, we'd do everything we could to get that permit to work here. And often when we go into remote countries such as Indonesia where we don't have an office, we'll use an in-country partner as well. So we'll make sure we've got people here who fully understand the equipment and able to service and support it for you.
Thank you very much. Maybe back to small-scale fisheries. Question for both of you: what do you like? What would you say a fisher? What would you tell a fisher who might not be part of a bigger business or would just be operating alone by himself or herself to actually get in, and use this technology? We've seen that they're very interested to not fill in logbooks, the paper logs, right, and get into technologies. But if there's no mandatory rule that indicates that they have to use actually electronic monitoring, they might not be as open to do that because they need that kind of top-down regime to actually comply. So yeah, I'm wondering what would you tell a fisher who's interested? And yeah, thank you.
You've probably just asked the question that plagues all of us in electronic monitoring, is how to get people to take on the equipment without regulation. Because unfortunately it is driven by regulation at the moment, but to try to encourage them, we give them, sort of similar to what I was saying, allow them to tell their story, give the traceability, ease of use on board and cutting down their time on paper reporting, and just trying to, make their life easier for them. With the VMS, we have onboard SOS on there, so it gives them an extra safety resource as well, which is really key, especially in some nations where these guys are going to sea and they have no communications on board at all. So to give them that security is another key advantage for them. And then, providing the traceability of their food, especially as we're seeing lots of developing nations, especially in the EU, et cetera, now where they're sort of saying they're only going to allow seafood in if they can trace it electronically. It gives them the ability to do that. But yeah, it is really difficult, and it's a hurdle we're all trying to work out how to get over.
I'm with you. It's very difficult, and sometimes if you don't have clear benefits, it's difficult to convince someone to use this kind of technology because it's compliance technology. It's not to fish more. So well, it's difficult. But sometimes if you can identify some, for example, if you have good behavior, you can sell more, you can fish more. These kind of things can help to adopt these kind of technologies. But if not, it's quite impossible. It's difficult to sell when there is no regulation. But well, I think that it's foster good behavior and benefits, always benefits. It's the only way to adopt these kind of things.
Great. I think we have time for one more question.
Thank you for thank you for your presentation. My name Ekalat, yes, from FMC Thailand. Yes. Now Thailand has taller operate outside Thai water. The onboard the vessel was equipped EM system consists of CCTV and sensor in dump and hatch. Yes. The objective of EM to agent IUU activity cannot focus monitoring the species and quantity of fish. Yes, my question, can you propose the EM technology be used to classify the fish volume and diversity of aquatic animal on trawler? Yes, you understand my question?
Yes, but but I need to say
My English is
that
not good.
no, we don't have experience with that. Only with tuna and some species from the Pacific. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Great. Thanks, everyone, for a wonderful set of questions. Please let's give a big hand to Manuel and Ali for great presentations and wonderful Q&A session.
Thank you.